Hi Bulldogs, welcome back to Monday Math. So last week we talked about telling time to the hour. This week we're going to talk about telling time to the half hour. So you just watched a video that explained telling time to the half hour, and so I'm going to get out my clock and I want to talk about some new things about the clock. So last week we talked about the hour hand, and the hour hand tells us what hour we're in. And then we talked about the long minute hand telling us how many minutes of the hour that we've had. So we didn't talk about last week was all the numbers and what they represent. So I'm going to move my clock a little bit closer so you can see. Above each number has a little small number. So when you're moving around the clock, you're counting by fives. And so up here at the top we have 60, because that means you've completed a full hour. So as we move along the numbers, we count by five. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and 60. So there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So when we've completed 60 minutes, that means we've completed one whole hour. So as we're talking today, we talked last week about how when the minute hand is pointing all the way up at the 12, we say o'clock. Well, we're gonna go around to the 6 today. So just like we learned about when we were partitioning and we were doing fractions, the 6 and the 12, if we were to cut this circle in half, we would be on the 6 and the 12. So half of 60 is 30. So when we say we're half past an hour, that means we've had 30 minutes in that hour. So if you're looking at the clock right now, I'm going to move this a little bit. So we know that the minute hand is on the 6, so we know that we've had 30 minutes. Now I want you to pay attention to the hour hand. The hour hand is doing something very interesting. Last week when we're telling time to the hour, we had the hour hand was pointing directly at a number, telling us what hour we're in. When you're moving around and you've got half past, the hour hand is in the middle because it's moving to the next hour. So when we want to read the hour, when we're reading half past an hour, we want to look at the two numbers that it is in between. So I have my marker because I have a writable dry erase clock. So I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to draw a straight line between the numbers. Do you see how my line is between the 10 and the 11? So we always want to read the smallest number, or the number that came first, because we're still in that hour. So the smallest number between 10 and 11 is 10. So when I read it, I'm going to say 10:30. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, let's look at this one right here. This is an interesting one because they're almost right on top of each other. So I see that the minute hand is pointing to the 6, so I know we're going to be a 30. Now look at the hour hand. If I draw that line between, we're right in between the 5 and the 6. But which one came first, 5 or 6? Good, the 5. So we're going to circle that 5. So when we read this, we're going to say that it's 5:30. Very good. Let's try one more. Do this one. This one can be a little bit tricky. So we see the minute hand on the 30, but now when I draw that line, I'm between the 12 and the 1. So if I'm going about the rule that which one is the least, which one's smallest, I would say 1, right? But would I be correct? No, because we're between the 12 and the 1, on a clock, the 12 came first. We have not made it to the 1 o'clock yet. So this one would be 12:30. Very good. So now I want to take those times and I want to write them down. So the first one we had was 10:30. So remember when we're writing time, if I want to write the hour first, so I would put a 10. And then remember, I want to separate my hour and my minute. So I would use my 2 dots, 10, and then we have 30, 10:30. Our next one was 5:30. So I would write the hour 5, my dots, and then 30, 5:30. And then my last one was 12:30. So I would write my hour being 12, and then my 30. So on your assignment today, it's going to look almost exactly like your assignment that you got last week, except for this time you're going to be telling time to the half hour. So your job is to read the clock that's on your slide and then to drag the time that matches. Good luck, Bulldogs. Have fun with reading clocks.